Welcome to the course Basic of Sewing. In this course, you will be introduced to the basic of sewing. In particular, you will be get a practical view of using sewing machine. This course comprises of 10 units and a final review section that invites you to reflect on what you have learned. By the end of this course, a student will be able to outline the history and development of sewing machine, describe the single needle and the 3-thread overlock machine, acquire a skill to adjust the speed of the machine using the speed control, acquire a skill to use the speed adjustment and feed dog mechanism over fabric, outline the procedure for the installation of a needle before working and to change the needle part as a part of basic troubleshooting, acquire a skill needed to fill the bobbin and threads and to handle the bobbin and bobbin case and install them in the machine, examine the effect and importance of various tension parts, acquire a skill to handle machines and to observe the fabric stitch look and type of error that may occur, acquire a skill to overcome regular problems that may occur during stitching and to provide a sound knowledge of their causes and identify way to solve them. The first unit, Introduction to Sewing Machine, traces the evolution of sewing machine and their development and use in the apparel manufacturing unit. The unit also reviews the function of various parts of the single needle lock stitch machine and the 3-thread overlock machine. This unit comprises of 3 modules. By the end of this unit, a student will be able to outline the need and development of sewing machine, describe the hassles and problem faced by the inventor in the making of the machine, describe the improvement made over time to make the machine better and to increase efficiency, describe the function of the various parts of single needle lock stitch machine, describe the function of the various parts of the 3-thread overlock machine. The revolution of sewing machine was a gradual process spanning several decades where technology kept improving over its earlier models until it reached its present model. Here is a brief of this process. In 1755, the first possible patent connected to the mechanical sewing was a 1755 British patent issued to the German Charles Wiesenthal. He was issued a patent for a needle that was designed for a machine. However, the patent did not describe the rest of machine if one existed. In 1790, the cabinet maker Thomas Sand patented a machine with which an awl made a hole in leather and then allowed a needle to pass through. In 1807, the earliest reference to the use of needle with an eye not being required to be passed completely through the fabric it was stitching is found in a machine invented by Edward Walter Chapman, for which he and William Chapman were granted a British patent in 1807. The machine was designed to construct belting for flat bending by stitching together several strands of rope that had been laid side by side. 2 needles were required and used alternately. In 1810, B. Krem, a German, invented an automatic machine for sewing caps. Krem did not patent his innovation and its never functioned well. In 1830, the first functional sewing machine was invented by the French tailor and B. Thimonier in 1830. Thimonier used only one thread and hooked needle that made the same chain stitch used with embroidery. In 1833, Walter Hunt invented a sewing machine, a unique invention in the history of work that used a lock stitch. The lock stitch used two threads, one passing through a loop in the other and then both interlocking. The first machine, that is made of wood and uses a barbed needle which passes downward through the cloth to grab the thread and pull it up to form a loop to be locked by the next loop. Hunter later lost interest in patenting because he believed his invention would cause of unemployment. In 1846, Elias Hogg patented the first ever proper lock stitch sewing machine in the world. Elias Hogg machine had a needle with an eye at the point. The needle was pushed through the cloth and created a loop on the other side. A shuttle on a track then slipped the second thread through the loop, creating what is called the lock stitch. On December 19, 1854, Wilson was issued patent for 4 motion cloth feet. In this development, the flat tooth surface in contact with the cloth moved forward, carrying the cloth with it, then it dropped a little so as not to touch the cloth. Next, it moved backward, then in the fourth motion, it pushed up against the cloth and was ready to repeat the forward movement. This simple and effective feed method is still used today with only minor modification. The first mechanical sewing machine were used in garment factory production line. It was not until 1889 that a sewing machine for use in the home was designed and marketed. By 1905, the electrically powered sewing machine was in wide use. Sewing needle. Now let us learn about the various parts of sewing needle. There is one important part, but this is a small pyramid at the upper end of the shank. It is designed to make a single point contact with the hole in the needle bar. Next, shank. The upper end of the needle that is held in the needle bar, the needle screw. The shank is usually round, but it can have 1 or 2 flat sides. Designed to support and stabilize the needle blade, the diameter of the shank is usually larger than the diameter of the blade. Next, shoulder. The beginning of the shank just above the needle blade. Scarf. A small indentations above the eye that permit the hook to pick up the thread loops. Needle groove. A long channel on the blade. It is located on the side on which the needle thread enters the eye and provide the protective guide for the thread when the needle is rising and the needle thread loops is enlarging. Eye. An opening in the needle blade at the lower end of the long groove that carries the thread into the material to the hook or looper to make a stitch. Point. Needle tip that penetrates fabric to pass thread to bobbin, hook and form a stitch. Shape of points varies among needle types. Now let us learn about the various types of sewing needle and their uses. For single needle lock stitch machine, DA cross 1 or DB cross 1. Single needle lock stitch machine with automatic thread trimmer, DA cross 1 or DB cross 1. Single needle lock stitch machine which fabric edge trimmer, DA cross 1 or DB cross 1. Double needle lock stitch machine, DP cross 1. Single needle lock stitch zigzag machine, DB cross 1. 3-thread overlock machine, DC cross 1 or DC cross 27. 5-thread overlock with safety stitch machine, DC cross 1 or DC cross 27. Buttonhole machine, DP cross 5. Chain stitch button stitch machine, TQ1 or TV7. Lock stitch button stitch machine, TQ1 or TV cross 7. Interlock flat lock machine, UY cross 1 or GAS. Feed of the arm machine for denim, TV cross 1 or TV cross 7. 1 and 2 needle chain stitch machine, TV cross 1 or TV cross 7. Blind stitch machine, LW cross 6T. Needle type and relevance of type of material to be stitched. Needle size 9 to 11 can be used for lightweight material like a silk, synthetic or sheer fabric, or transparent material, georgette, chiffon, etc. Needle number 14 to 16. Advisable for medium weight material. In textile is a shirting material or a trouser material. Thank you. Needle size 18 to 20 is suitable for heavyweight material like a denim, khaki and leather. Needle size 22 onward for extra heavy material, leather and canvas, and suitable for accessories or leather goods. Now let us learn about the single needle lock stitch machine, SNL machine. A sewing machine is a machine used to stitch fabric and other material together. Sewing machines were invented during the first industrial revolution to decrease the amount of manual sewing work performed in clothing companies. The sewing machine have greatly improved the efficiency and productivity of the clothing industry. Now we shall discuss single needle lock stitch machine and 3-thread overlock machine in detail, as these machines are most widely used in the garment industry. A sewing machine is a machine used to stitch fabric and other material together with thread. Sewing machines were invented during the first industrial revolutions to decrease the amount of manual sewing work performed in clothing companies. The sewing machine have greatly improved the efficiency and productivity of clothing industry. Welcome to the chapter of Introduction of Single Needle Lock Stitch Machine. Before we start introduction, we have to be explain the various parts of the sewing machine and their function. This one is a single needle lock stitch machine. This one is a widely or commonly used in industry. The capacity of this machine is a 4000 stitch per minute. That's why mostly industry use such a kind of machine. Introduction of various parts of sewing machine. This one is a power supply cord to supply power to the motor. Motor is attached in bottom side of the sewing machine. This entire set is called spool stand or cone stand. There is a two plates are available, one for bobbin winding and other one needle thread. This one we use for the bobbin winding and this is we use for needle thread supply. This part is for thread guide, is pick up thread from the spool and we pass through from these holes, either is a bobbin winding or for needle supply. This entire set is called bobbin winder. Thread pass through from here, pass through tension disc and then wrap around. Here we have to be fixed bobbin and wrap around the bobbin. This one is a hand wheel. This is the SPI regulator. By this you can increase or decrease the length of stitch. You can rotate this one clockwise and anti-clockwise. This is the knob which is used for bar tack or reverse stitch. This is the hand wheel. This one is a SPI regulator. The purpose of this instrument is to increase or decrease stitch length. How to operate this one? This can be operated clockwise or anti-clockwise. Now I will operate this one. This can be operated like this. This can be operated like this. You want to be stitch length more, then you have to be anti-clockwise rotate this one, and you want to be stitch length shorter, then you have to be clockwise rotate this one. This is a knob outside which is the purpose of reverse stitch knob. For bar tack purpose or over stitch purpose we have to be push this knob. This one is a oil indicator to indicate the oil is available or not available in the machine, because this one is a self lubricant machine. The tank of the oil is available under the bed of the sewing machine. This entire set we call arm of the sewing machine. This one is a thread guide. This is the thread guide. One more thread guide is there, and this is thread tension assembly, thread take up lever. This one is a phase guide. One more thread guide pass through the thread to the needle. Needle bar, needle tighten screw, needle, finger guard, pressure foot bar, pressure foot tighten screw. This is entire area is called bed of the sewing machine, and this one is the table of sewing machine. This is the needle. Let's see the movement of the needle up and down, and the movement of pressure foot up and down by knee pressure foot lifter. And this is the throat plate, or we also call needle plate. This one is a feed dog, and there is a fish plate is this one. You can on and off this machine to operate these two. The green one is a on switch and the red one is a off switch. Knee pressure foot lifter, how to operate it? Just push it up and down. Speed regulator, which is attached through rod to the motor to control the speed of sewing machine. This one is a hand pressure foot lifter. In this kind of machine we have a two pressure foot lifter. One is a knee pressure foot lifter, which is the bottom side of the machine, and second on the top of the machine. What is the purpose of two pressure foot lifter? Because when operator is working on the sewing machine, then he allowed only to use knee pressure foot lifter. When he winding bobbin, then he allowed to use knee pressure foot hand pressure foot lifter. This one is a hand pressure foot lifter. There is a two pressure foot lifter. in this machine. One is this one. This is lift by hand, and there is a bottom side which you seen in black color, which is a knee pressure foot lifter. Knee pressure foot lifter, the purpose of knee pressure foot lifter is when operator is working, he or she have to be used to lift pressure foot their knee. So both hands are free. When you binding bobbin or you don't want to use in machine, then continuous stay on the pressure foot on the upside, you have to be use hand pressure foot lifter. Rotating entire set is called shuttle and hook. The purpose of this shuttle and hook, this part we have to be fix bobbin and bobbin case, and this part to catch the needle thread and help to make loops. How to fix bobbin and bobbin case in this part? Look at here, this is the bobbin case. This entire set is called bobbin case, and there is a small knob is there which is visible on the top of bobbin case, and there is a one cut mark is here. Ensure yourself that this knob should be fixed in this cut mark. Now I am going to fix this bobbin case, and now push it. Ensure yourself, if you are pushing this one, the needle should be on top position. I am taking out, again I will show you. I am taking out this way, and again I will fix it. And now push it. Take it out and push it. Oil tank with oil pump to supply oil to lubricate entire machine. Motor connected to the machine with V-belt. This is half HP motor connected to the machine with V-belt. Overlock stitches are classified in a number of ways. The most basic classification is by the number of threads used in the stitches. Industrial overlock machines are generally made in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 threads formation. Each of these formation has unique uses and benefits. One thread end-to-end seaming or butt seaming of piece goods for textile finishing. Two thread edging and seaming, especially on knits and woven finishing seam edges, stitching flatlock seam, stitching elastic and lace to lingeries and hemming. This is the most common type of overlock stitch. Three-phase swing, pin tucks, creating narrow roll, hems, finishing fabric edges, decorative ending and seaming knit or woven fabric. Four-thread, decorative ending and finishing seaming, high stretch areas, mock safety stitches which create extra strength and while retaining flexibility. 5-thread, in apparel manufacturing, safety stitches utilizing 2 needles create a very strong seam. For every 1 cm of seam length, you will require 20 cm of thread to sew it. Next, let us move on the learn about 3-thread overlock machine. An overlock is a kind of stitch that sews over the edges of 1 or 2 pieces of cloth for edging, hemming or sewing. Usually, an overlock sewing machine will cut the raw edges of the cloth as they are feed through. Some are made without cutter. The inclusion of automated cutters allow overlock machine to create finishing edges easily and quickly. An overlock sewing machine differ from a lock stitch sewing machine in that it uses looper feed by multiple thread cones rather than a bobbin. Looper serve to create thread loops that pass from the needle thread to the edges of the fabric so that the edges of the fabric are contained within the seam. Overlock sewing machine usually run at high speed from 1000 to 900 rpm, and most are used in industry for edging, hemming and sewing a variety of fabric on product. Overlock stitches are extremely versatile as they can be used to prevent raw edges, decoration, reinforcement or construction. When the needle penetраtes in the fabric, a loop is formed in the thread at the back of the needle. As the needle continues its downward motion into the fabric, the lower looper begins its movement from the left to right. The tip of the lower looper passes behind the needle and through the loops of thread that has formed behind the needle. The lower looper continues along with path moving towards the right of the serger as they move. The lower thread is carried through the needle threads. While the lower looper is moving from left to right, the upper looper advances from the right to left. The tip of the upper looper passes behind the lower looper and picks up the lower looper threads and needle thread. The lower looper now begins its move back into the far left position as the upper looper continues to the left. It holds the lower looper thread and needle thread in place. The needle again begins to downward path, passing behind the upper looper and securing the upper looper thread. This completes the overlock stitch formation and begin the stitch cycle all over again. Next, let us learn about 3-thread overlock machine. 3-thread overlock machine is used to prevent fraying raw edges. You have reached the end of this unit. To summarize, this unit gave you an overview of improvement made to sewing machine as they were. This machine we use to cover raw edges of the fabric or any cutting component. 3-thread means in this machine we use 3 threads. One is this one, second one is this one, and third one is a wide one. One thread pass through the needle, rest of 2 threads pass through looper. We don't have bobbin and bobbin case in this machine. All bottom thread pass through the eye looper. This entire set called thread or cone stand. These are the cone or spool plates. This is machine table which attach with stand which is on bottom side of this table. Power supply cord, motor with pulley with V-weld attached with sewing machine, 3-thread overlock machine. On, off switch, hand wheel, as well as this hand wheel also work as a SPI regulator. There is no separate SPI regulator. This hand wheel is work as a SPI regulator also. This one is a V-weld cover. This machine rotate opposite direction, you can see by arrow, not like the lock stitch machine. This assembly is a thread tension assembly. All these assembly provide thread tension to the upper part, means needle, and two assembly provide thread tension to the looper. This is the entire set is a thread guide for 3 thread. Oil indicator, thread guide for 3 thread, supply. This is the oil indicator, oil leveler, thread guide, oil indicator, oil leveler, because this one is a self lubricant machine. Thread guide, these 2 thread guide, thread passing through to the bottom side and going to looper. This one is a front plate. Open this plate and you can see path of these 2 thread. Mechanism of thread take up lever. Look at here. Here is a 2 thread supply. One is this one, other one is this one, and pass through thread take up lever, and then there is a 2 thread take up lever with supply thread to the both eye looper. Upper cutter. In this machine, there is a 2 blade is installed, which is called, one is upper looper and second one is a lower looper. See the function of upper looper. The movement is only upper looper. Lower looper, there is no movement. Needle fixed with needle bar. This entire assembly provide thread to the needle eye. Needle and needle bar, thread take up lever. The entire assembly is work as a thread take up lever. Pressure foot bar, pressure foot, this entire set is a pressure foot. Feed dog, needle plate, side cover, hand pressure foot lifter, side cover, lower thread tension assembly, thread guide, thread guide for lower thread. This is lower thread take-up lever. This entire set is a differential feed assembly. Loose this bolt and you can rotate this one, then machine will function as a differential feed mechanism. Speed regulator as you have in lock stage machine, and function is also same. The second one is a pressure foot lifter. How this machine works? Lift the pressure foot, place the material under the pressure foot, look at this one cutter and work of the cutter is, see the function of cutter. Stitch performance of 3-thread overlock machine. This is the black thread and this one is the camel color, and the bottom side we have a white color. Now you have reached the end of this unit. To summarize, this unit gave you an overview of improvement made to sewing machines as they were developed for use in the apparel manufacturing industry. You have also learned about the various parts and function of the SNS